Right now, somewhere in the world, someone is choosing a coffin, picking a font for a headstone, deciding between cremation and burial. It feels routine, modern, almost bureaucratic. But the real answer to what happens when a human dies is far stranger, and it stretches back over 100,000 years before paperwork ever existed. Your ancestors buried their dead with flowers, ochre, tools, sometimes food for a journey that had no known destination. Why? Death is the one experience every human shares and no human can describe. You will die. So will everyone you love. And somehow, across every continent, every culture invented a ritual to deal with it. That is not a coincidence. That is a clue. Let's go back. Around 100,000 years ago, at a site called Kafze in what is now Israel, archaeologists found something that changed how we understand the human mind. A skeleton buried deliberately, with deer antlers placed in the arms. Not scattered, not accidental, placed. Someone knelt beside a body and made a choice about how it would be remembered. This is one of the earliest known intentional burials in the archaeological record. Researcher Arella Hovers, who studied the Kafze site extensively, argued that this kind of deliberate placement signals something profound. It signals symbolic thought. The ability to imagine a world where objects matter even after the person holding them is gone. Think about that for a second. A deer antler has no practical use to a corpse. It cannot be eaten. It cannot be worn. Its only value is symbolic. And symbolic value requires imagination. It requires a mind capable of thinking beyond the present moment, beyond survival, into the realm of meaning. That is not a small thing. That might be one of the first fingerprints of a fully modern human mind. Now fast forward tens of thousands of years to the Neanderthals at Shanidar Cave in northern Iraq. For decades, scientists debated a startling claim. Had Neanderthals buried their dead with flowers? Pollen clusters were found around a skeleton, and the original excavator, Ralph Selecki, proposed a moving idea that even Neanderthals, our extinct evolutionary cousins, grieved. That they marked death with beauty. Later research complicated the picture. Some scientists suggested burrowing bees might have carried the pollen in accidentally. The debate continues. But here is the strange part. Even the possibility of a Neanderthal flower burial forced an entire field to ask a harder question. What if grief isn't uniquely human? What if it's older than our species itself? You inherited something from this, not the flowers, the impulse. Because here's what almost never changes. Across tens of thousands of years and thousands of unrelated cultures, humans do not walk away from their dead. They stay. They mark the spot. They do something. In ancient Egypt, that something became an entire civilization's obsession. Mummification wasn't about denial of death. It was about preparation for what came next. The body was preserved because the ancient Egyptians believed the soul needed a physical anchor to survive the afterlife. Every wrap of linen was an act of hope disguised as ritual. In parts of ancient China, tombs were filled with miniature armies, servants, and households, entire worlds in miniature, so the dead would not be lonely or powerless in whatever came next. Notice the pattern. Different continents, no contact between these cultures, and yet the same core behavior. Give the dead something for the unknown road ahead. Why would evolution build a brain that does this? Here's where it gets strange. Grief, on the surface, looks like a design flaw. It causes psychological pain. It disrupts sleep, appetite, focus, sometimes for months or years. From a purely survival-driven standpoint, pain that doesn't help you find food or escape a predator should have been evolved away a long time ago. But it wasn't. It got stronger. Anthropologist and researcher John Archer has argued that grief may be the cost of something evolution actually needed. Deep, durable attachment. You cannot have the benefits of strong social bonds, cooperation, protection, shared resources, without also carrying the risk of devastating loss when a bond breaks. The pain of grief isn't a glitch. It's the tax you pay for love that helped your ancestors survive. Ritual then becomes something more than tradition. It becomes a tool, a way to manage a pain the brain was never given an off switch for. Anthropologist Bronisław Malinowski, studying communities in the Trobriand Islands in the early 20th century, observed something crucial about funeral rites. He noted that ritual gives structure to chaos. When someone dies, the world suddenly makes no sense. Rules stop applying. Ritual hands you a script, a sequence of actions, so that even when your mind is breaking, your hands still know what to do. Light the fire, wash the body, say the words, place the object. You felt a version of this, even if you've never thought about it this way. The instinct to bring food to a grieving neighbor. The urge to say something, anything at a funeral, even when words feel insufficient. The comfort of a familiar hymn or a familiar phrase, repeated because repetition itself is stabilizing. That is 100,000 years of inherited behavior, quietly running in the background of your life. Here's the twist most people never consider. Ancient burial wasn't really about the dead. The dead can't see the flowers. They can't use the tools. They don't need the food. Burial was, and still is, about the living. It's a message the living send to themselves. You mattered. This wasn't nothing. I will not simply walk away and pretend this didn't happen. Every gravestone, every funeral program, every candle lit in memory is doing the same job that deer antler did in Kafsa 100,000 years ago. It is transforming an unbearable absence into something you can see, touch, and visit. Grief without ritual has nowhere to go. It just circles. Ritual gives it a place to land. So when you attend a funeral today, when you order flowers, when you stand at a grave and don't quite know what to say, you are not performing some modern social obligation. You are doing the oldest thing your species has ever done with its most intelligent, most social, most emotionally complex minds. You are proving, the same way that unknown mourner at Kafsa proved with a handful of antlers, that a life was witnessed, that it counted, that someone stayed. Right now, somewhere in the world, someone is choosing a coffin, picking a font for a headstone. And it isn't routine at all. It's ancient. It's the oldest ceremony your species ever invented.